She's all right when you get to know her. This is my podcast, and it takes you from your restrictive, toxic, life-limiting 9 to 5 into a life on your terms, full of freedom and flexibility as a self-employed virtual assistant. So whether this is your first introduction into the possibility of becoming a VA, or perhaps you've been doing a bit of Googling already, I'm going to get rid of the overwhelm, rid of the self-doubt, and show you that this life is possible. I've not just started this rodeo, you know. I'm Catherine Gladwyn, and I've been doing what you think is impossible since 2015. Shall we get started? Right, so client red flags. Now, we're always told to trust our gut, aren't we? But, you know, if we always listen to the fear in our stomach or the uncertainty, then we would never do anything. Guaranteed, on this journey to virtual assistant, you've had that gut feeling of, you know, this can't be right. You know, £35 an hour, or nah, there's no way people can become virtual assistants. That is oversaturated. But it's not, you know, that's just you being cautious, stepping into the unknown. So I thought it'd be good to just highlight a few genuine red flags to look out for, but also some of them may be just red flags for me and may not be red flags for you. So for an example, I might have a boundary. I'm just going to make one up. I don't want to receive any emails after 6 p.m. You can't enforce that, but I'm just trying to think of something. And a client emails me at 7 p.m. That'd be a red flag because he's been told so many times not to email me late. It's just a wild example, that one. I wish I'd chosen something else. But yeah, that wouldn't be a red flag for you if you're happy to receive emails at any time of day. Just an example. So I will try and differentiate as we're going through it. But I started writing my list of client red flags because I knew full well that if I just tried to do this ad lib, I'd come up with one and then a dog would walk past or the doorbell would ring, or I'd think, oh, do you know what? I wonder if Marks and Spencer's have got that dress back in, and I'd be off, gone. So as I started typing them out, let's see how many I got. 11. I started to think maybe I'm the problem, to be honest with you. Now, I'm going to try and cover all 11. And as you know, these podcasts never go on very long, and I'll need a nap afterwards. So I want a countdown like Simon Mayo. I wonder how much he costs. I reckon Ken Bruce would be far too much money, but maybe Simon Mayo would be a bit cheaper. So yeah, maybe get him to do a voiceover at number 11. I won't do that in case I don't have 11. I'll just start at number 1. So the first red flag for me, and I find this quite funny, is if they come on the phone or they send you an email and go, I've had 3 VAs, but none of them were the right fit. Or I've had quite a lot of VAs, but they were rubbish. Or my last VA, and continues to give you the VA's name, did this, that, and the other, and I didn't ask them to. If they come on, if they've had a lot of VAs, immediately I think you're the problem. You know, or your selection process is the problem. But more often than not, they're the problem. And it doesn't mean like a personality problem. They may just not be very good at communicating what they need help with. I mean, we all have those clients or potential clients that come on and go, I know I need a VA, but I don't know what I need them to do. Well, how do you know you need a VA then? You just like the idea of it, don't you? You just, your networking event said you need a VA, but you're not really sure. You ain't got enough money anyway. But yeah, if they come on and they've had quite a few VAs, then that raises a little red flag for me. But equally, if they then go on to complain about those VAs, I've got another red flag flying. They're flying at the same time then, because I'm thinking, right, if I'm going to be your VA and I do, in inverted commas, something wrong, then you're going to be telling the next VA about it. And God knows who else, if you are quite happy to speak to a complete stranger and badmouth somebody else, another business owner, without giving them a right of reply. So that is often a red flag for me, because you could be the best VA ever, but you will still sometimes get somebody that doesn't communicate properly. And I will cover this. Actually, I'm going to jump right to number whatever. But they don't communicate something properly, you're pretty sure they said do X, Y, Z. So you did X, Y, Z, and they came back and said, no, I wanted you to do X, Z, Z. And you're like, for fuck's sake. Then they go off and tell all their mates. So sometimes you may get that red flag on there, and when you're an aspiring VA, brand new to it, it's like, I can't say no to this because I need the money. I want to leave my 9 till 5. But look at it this way: if you say yes to them, you're not going to enjoy it. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be just like being employed, which you're trying to get away from. And also, they're going to be taking up time that somebody nice could take up. So just think of it that way. That one pain in the ass client, it can ruin everything for you. It really can. You dread opening the emails and things like that. Now, what one was I going to jump to? See, this is the trouble. Oh yeah, it's not actually a red flag. It's just advice, actually. It's like I said, if you want to avoid a client ever saying, "I didn't ask you to do that," and you're like, "Well, you did on call number 65 this week." So if a client ever asks you to do any work via phone or a message system that you may not be able to access after you start working with them, for example, if they're communicating with you on Slack and it's their channel, you may not be able to access that if you stop working with them. So always follow up on email or take a screenshot and keep it in a folder in Google Docs, just so you've got something to go back on. It's not about collecting evidence in case there's a crime, in inverted commas. It's just about your own sanity, if anything, because we all get those days where we're like, "Oh God, what did he say? Did he say do it green, or did he want it duck egg blue?" Or you've got it there as a reference. You don't have to go back to the client. You can just have a look. So yeah, get everything in email. Okay, red flag number 2. They question your rates. Or worse, they mention someone on Fiverr charging £4 an hour. Do you know what? If they're questioning your rates, then they've got a finance problem and they can't afford you. They're not ready for a virtual assistant. I'd like to say they don't go into a solicitor's office and say, "Is there any negotiation on your hourly rate?" But they probably do, you know, cheaper for cash. No, mate, it's fraud. But if they start questioning your rates, then do you know what? It's rude. It's bloody rude. It's almost like saying you're not worth that. You know, if they say to you, "How much are you an hour?" "Oh, £35." I can get the same on Fiverr for £4. Go on then. Off you trot. Because I am worth £35. I am not suddenly going to go down in price because you've laughed or, yeah, that laugh. Just look at that laugh as not them laughing at your rates or what you know that you're worth. It's them laughing because they're not getting it. I actually had a comment recently on a LinkedIn post where I was talking about, I want to be careful here because I don't want to out anybody because, well within her rights to leave that comment. It wasn't rude, but yeah, I was talking about that VA's rates are going up from 30 quid and the new average is about 34, 35 now. And this lady's not a VA, but she put on my post, "I'm a qualified teacher and I don't get that an hour in my business." So she's a qualified teacher, but that's not job now. She's got her own business and she's not getting that an hour, is what she was saying. Well, that's not a VA's fault. And, there's a lot of VAs that are qualified teachers or qualified in other things. Regardless of what our backgrounds are, whether we've got a degree or whether we left school at 14, we're £35 an hour. And if she's not getting that, it just means she's not communicating it properly. She doesn't realise her own worth. If you start thinking you're worth that, or start knowing, keep saying it, you're worth that, then you will attract the right people because you'll start looking in the right places. I mean, you won't look at somebody that leaves a comment like that. If you were following that person on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or something and you saw her make a comment like that, then you would stop putting your energy into them because immediately she's let you know that she's not earning that an hour, so she can't afford you. So when people question your rates, it can be a red flag. It can indicate that they can't afford you. So they might be okay for a bit of ad hoc work. That's brilliant. That's just as wonderful. But we just want to be mindful of that comment that they've made because I don't want anything else questioned. Thanks very much. You're not here to set me prices. Okay, number 3. In you come, Simon Mayo, with your little jingle. Okay, you've sent the contract and invoice. You've had the discovery call. They've gone, yeah, let's do this. You've sent them over the contract and their deposit invoice twice. You've asked them and chased them to sign it. You've reminded them that you can't start work until they've signed the contract and paid the invoice. Now, sometimes you get potential clients, because they're still a potential client at this stage, start sending through work and they just need to be reminded to sign the contract, pay the invoice, and you can start, and tickety-boo, we're all good. However, you may get people that ignore your reminders, and that's a kind of red flag. I mean, if they ignore the first one, it's fine. You're not their priority. Their business is their priority. So anything could have happened in their life, their world, their business that's taken priority over signing or reading through your contract. So while it's your priority to get that client signed up, it's not theirs. You're not their be all and end all. But if you've chased it a couple of times and not got a reply, or, or you've got replies like, oh, yeah, I'm just checking with my partner, or let me just wait for some invoices to be paid and I'll get on to that. I want to call it a red flag. It's kind of I don't know, red with a bit of white in it. Extra water if we're talking about watercolour paints. It's watered down red a little bit because they've not completely ghosted you, but they've come back with kind of excuses that they didn't mention on the call. And so I think this is kind of an instance to maybe trust your gut. Come into the Facebook group, ask the question, and you'll get brilliant answers in there. Non-toxic, no judgment. We've all been where you are. If we haven't been where you are, we're going to be there at some point. We're all on a very, very similar journey. So I think there's two parts to this. If you've been chasing a couple of times and you've had no reply, leave them. Let them come back to you at another time. If they've started coming up with excuses that you think, well, that's not how we ended the call, buddy, then again, just leave them. Let them come back to you. Stop the chasing and just focus on your marketing, because all the time you're focusing on them is time you could be looking for other clients. And if they come back to you and you've no longer got the hours, then whack them on a waiting list. See how they bloody like it. Right, number 4, they want to start right now. It's urgent. No, it's not. I always say nothing is urgent. I don't want anybody to put that stress on you. We're not dealing with surgeons and consultants who you need to book a meeting with this woman because she needs to have immediate surgery. That isn't on the nature of our work. If it's urgent, as the client says, then they are showing that they're piss poor at planning. And, they might have been let down by somebody perhaps, but that's another story. But yeah, if they start coming in and saying, I need this done right now, blah, 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 and you find yourself like, oh, I need to move this around, that around, I don't really have time, but I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. If you can feel that stress building up in you, then you want to come away from that, because in my experience, and I've been doing this nearly 10 years now, but in my experience, when somebody says something's urgent, they don't always give you everything you need to complete that urgent task because they're flustered. You go back to them for something that you need to complete it, and there's a nice long delay in them getting back to you. Or they're like, oh, I'll get back to you next week on that. I thought it was urgent. It is not urgent. So if it's causing you any stress to do this urgent work or to think about doing this urgent work, just calm them down and say, well, I can sense your urgency. I can do that for you by end of play Friday. It's Tuesday now. And they'll think, oh, yeah, that's fine. Because it's not urgent, buddy. And what is urgent to them might be fine to be done in 3 days' time. Oh, I tell you what, the one that I might actually have it in here. No, I haven't. I've thought of another one. So what number are we on now? It's going to completely muck up I'm going to have to put a number 5 in my list so that I don't repeat a number 5. So number 5, a brand new entry at number 5. Oh, forgot it. Hold on. Oh, yeah. This isn't so much a red flag because it can be overcome, but I briefly touched on it, is when somebody comes to you and says, I know I need a VA, but I don't know what I need them to do. Well, how did you get to the point where you know you need a VA? I look on Vinted and I'm like, I need that dress. Well, and if somebody was to say to me, why do you need it? Because I do. That's it. I do. It's not relevant that I've run out of hangers and space. I need that dress. If they don't know what they need help with, then yeah, how do they know they need a VA? I mean, they might need help with, I don't know, maybe every day they've got to, you just know so much stupid is going to come out of my head at this point, don't you? Every day they have to top up their screen wash on their car because it leaks on the way to their office. So they have to top it up every day, and it takes them 10 minutes because they have got a phobia about screen wash dropping on the floor. So it takes them ages to do. Did I just say it takes them 10 minutes? Well, it takes them longer than that. It takes them ages to do every morning, which means they don't get in the office until 11 a.m. So it takes them 2 hours to fill it up because they can't drop any. And if they didn't have to fill it up every day, then they could get more done. They don't need a VA then, they need a garage. So we need to work out why they need a VA. So it's not always a red flag, but just be mindful that it might not be something that you can do. So instead of kind of wasting your time on them, I always say to these people, okay, make a list of things that you either can't, won't, or shouldn't be doing in your business, and start with the can't. Make sure you emphasize that you said can't, and ask them to come back to you in a week or so. You could follow up with them if you like, but that's the best way that they can work out what it is they need help with, and then you can perhaps find a garage for them. So number 6, they start like calling you an employee, or they start talking about appraisals, or they kind of use language that indicates an ownership of you. And we need to remember, and they need to remember as well, that we're equals. We are their equals. There's no hierarchy. We chose to work with them as much as they chose to work with us. Yes, we are doing their work, but they are taking our skills to get that work done. We're completely equal. So if you see a hierarchy start coming in, it could create a red flag if it's left to go. But if not, if you quash it when it starts, then things should be cool. People do slip every so often, I'm trying to think of some examples, but if you find yourself kind of thinking, I don't really like this terminology, or, how he's using me, or, I want you in a Monday morning meeting at 9 o'clock every Monday to join the meeting via Zoom. And you've got another client that you do something for on a Monday at 9 o'clock. And it's like, oh, no, sorry, I'm committed to a retainer client at 9 o'clock on a Monday, so I won't be able to make those meetings. But I'm sure they're recorded in Zoom, so I can catch up with it at 11 or something like that. Just to remind them that you've got other clients, that you're not there for them when they demand, unless it's arranged beforehand. So just keep an eye on the relationship and make sure that it's equal, that you're each putting the same amount into the joint account. Okay, do you know what? I knew there was going to be one that was duplicated. No, actually, this is different, right? Number 7, it should only take you 5 minutes. Well, if you're timing your microwave burrito, then great. But let's just look at the language here. Now, you know me, I think. I hate to go back to corporate speak, but do you remember the SMART objectives, right? Let me pull them up, because I don't. SMART objectives, right. Okay. Need to be specific, measurable, achievable is the main one, realistic, and timely, right? So art, we'll get rid of the sm, achievable, realistic and time-bound. So where's me thing? Here we go. So if somebody says to you and says it should only take 5 minutes, well, do it yourself then. They're already setting the tone. They're already saying, if you take longer than 5 minutes on this, then there's a potential that I'm not going to pay your bill, or you're going to feel like a failure because it took you 3 hours and 5 minutes. Sometimes I think, I've said it myself. I've contacted a plumber or something like that and gone, oh, it's only a little job, and it might not be a little job, but I've said it because I'm worried that it won't be enough for them. I didn't mean like, I ain't going to pay much for this because it's a little job. I don't understand I want a plug changed. I don't understand how to do that. I had a look on Google, and as far as I know, I need to smash the whole sink up, take it off the wall and buy a new sink and have the whole bathroom redone. But I don't think it's going to be that bad. So I'm just going to get a plumber in to do it and see if he does it the way that I worked out on Google. But yeah, sometimes people do say it because they're worried that it's not enough of a job for you. Do you know, like you see on vans, bobber job vans, what is it they say? No job too small. And I think sometimes that should only take 5 minutes is kind of a play on that, if you like. And just make sure that you communicate that it won't be 5 minutes. In fact, the minimum is an hour. And after you've got to an hour, you could let them know if you think it's going to take longer. Maybe say something like that. But yeah, just kind of gauge whether it's them setting you up to fail, not intentionally, but because they really can't understand why things take longer, or whether it's they're just sort of worried that it's not a big enough job for you. Now, number 8, this one is actually aligned to a client that I had once. This client actually helped me set some boundaries because I'd given her every mode of communication and she took it. But yeah, she'd text at like 9 o'clock on a Sunday night and then follow up at 7 o'clock the next morning to ask whether it had been done. No, been asleep, actually. And I expect you have as well. If not, anyway, I could go on. But yeah, it's that as a red flag. That's like, even as an employee, I would be like, do you want to fuck off? Because, life. That kind of communication I don't think is good for anybody. And I think that's a red flag for everybody, where people are, again, it's that smart objectives. It's not timely. It's not, what were they again? It's not realistic and it's not achievable. No. And you definitely don't want to start doing it either, because when you do something once, as you know from the boundaries episode, they think that they can do it again. So if they texted you at 9 o'clock that night, I would not reply. I mean, I don't even give my phone number out anymore, so they wouldn't even be able to text me. But if they had now, knowing what I know now, I wouldn't reply. And then if they followed up at 7 a.m., I'd either not reply. It'd probably be best if I didn't reply. And then I would reply at perhaps 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. when I choose to start work. But yeah, probably best if I don't even try and give you an answer to reply at 7 a.m. because I'd probably end up, yeah, we won't go any further with that one. Number 8, hang on, we're on number 9. The client asks you to do things and then asks you why you've done them. So this is why it's so important to have everything written in an email. Like I said, if you communicate, say, on Slack or something like that, or Podio or something, and it's the client's account, then if you stop working with them, they may immediately stop your access to it and you cannot then access any conversations. So always follow up with any call, after any calls, or, anywhere where messages can be lost or deleted, with an email, just to confirm what you've agreed, what you're going to be doing. If it's in Slack or something, then I'm pretty sure you could probably take a screenshot and keep hold of that somewhere in Google Docs. I don't know. Unless you've signed a client contract that says you can't do that, then I think that would be okay to just cover yourself just in case. It can happen where a client completely forgets that they've asked you to do something. But often it can be a red flag to indicate that they're difficult and they're watching perhaps every penny. I mean, you can have some clients that never do this, and then all of a sudden they change. They've gone from, "You're the best person to ever be born. You've changed my whole life. You're wonderful." They shout about you on LinkedIn. They think you're wonderful. And then they suddenly go to, "Why did that take you 3 hours and 15 minutes? Why didn't it take you 3 hours? Where's the 15 minutes come from?" And they start questioning everything. And you immediately, it's like that narcissistic behavior where they reel you in and then they start saying things to make you question yourself. Doesn't mean they're narcissistic. I mean, they could be, but it often means that there is a money pot problem and they're watching their pennies. And immediately they look at all their outgoings. So just if they change, or let's think about the changing ones first. If they start to change and you're pretty sure you're not doing anything any differently, then just be mindful that it could be a cash flow issue. So you may be losing them soon. So hopefully you never stop marketing and you've got a great audience that's ever growing. But if you haven't, get your arse in gear. If things like that happen, get ready to replace them. If they're like it from the off, it's unlikely they're going to change. In fact, it could get worse. Oh yeah, I was going to say as well, if you follow up by email, what I used to do is I'd add something on the end saying, "I'm going to crack on now. So if anything isn't right, let me know on receipt of the email." A little bit of a coverage. I don't know how much it'll cover you, but I watch too much true crime. Number 10, they say something like, "Okay, yeah, we'll figure out prices later," and that after the kickoff call, or they'll be like, "Yeah, but let's just crack on, and I'll get that invoice paid by the end of the month." We're not in a situationship, mate, babe, honey. You're going to pay now, and not the end of the month. Hopefully your terms of payment are 7 days or less. My team are all payment on receipt. Horrible buggers. Trying to catch me out. But yeah, if they start chatting about, "I'll pay you at the end of the month," or "our terms are 30 days," or, we'll talk about, "I can't talk about the money at the moment. Let's talk about it later. Let's just crack on." Red flag. You need to get the money in straight away. You need your bank account details in their banking app before you start any work, so that it's going to be a simple process when you send them their next invoice. And if somebody starts trying to take control of your income, basically that's what they're doing. If we look at it like that, then that's a red flag. So remember your boundaries. I said these were going to sort of overlap with boundaries and things like that, but it is a red flag because we should all have this boundary that people pay a full retainer in advance. They pay 50% or all of a package price in advance. Ad hoc, we take a deposit for 3 hours and refund anything they don't use on an ad hoc only. So if they start trying to control how you run your business, then it is a red flag. How come I got 12? Oh, I added one. So number 11, well, I am going to stop at 11. I don't want to do number 12. Don't like it. Number 11 is if they just won't get it that you've got other clients, that they're demanding all the time, talking at you, not to you, wanting you to do this, do that now. Why is that not done? Phoning without booking time to do it. It is all things that are like, "Do you know what, mate? There's other people that I'm working with because I'm not daft, and you're just taking over too much." You just need to communicate to them that you're not the only client I've got, and I like all of you to get the same VIP service. So I put you in blocks, and Wednesday between 10 and 4 is your block. So let's schedule this call for Wednesday at 10. Tuesday at noon, they ring. Ignore them, or send them an email and say, "Sorry I missed your call. Tuesdays I'm working with my client, blah, blah, blah. Just to remind you, you're in the diary for 10 o'clock tomorrow. I will call you at 10, something like that. Remember from the boundaries episode, give them an inch, they'll take a mile. Now, other things to look out for will come when you start setting boundaries and things like that, you know? So I've found that I'm not stereotyping all creatives, not at all, because there's different personalities across all spectrums. But creatives are often quite disorganized and deadlines are kind of like subjective and what have you. And so they're not my ideal client, okay? So it's not so much a red flag, but it's a watered down red. And if a creative comes to me, I can pick up the vibes on the emails or during the discovery call or something like that, whether it's going to be somebody that doesn't work or align to how I like to work. So just, think about things like that. Think about your boundaries. And if it looks like somebody's potentially going to break them, then it turns that into a red flag for you. If you're ever not sure, because do you know what? If your tummy starts going, it's not always right. They say trust your gut, don't they? But if I'd have trusted my gut every time my tummy had a wobble, I wouldn't be where I am now, for sure. So if you're ever unsure, come into the Facebook group, like I said, and we can help in there. But I'll tell you what, the way a lot of people make sure that taking on new clients is seamless and positive for you and easy for the clients. They've got my inquiry to onboarding training, and it's only an hour's training. It's pre-recorded. It's got everything in there that you need: how to complete contracts, how to do a discovery call, why you shouldn't actually allow somebody to book a discovery call without speaking to you first. Yeah, that's a big one. Ooh. But it's all explained in the inquiry to onboarding. And at the time of recording this podcast, it's still only £30. Given the average hourly rate for VAs is now £34/£35 an hour, it's less than an hour's work. And given that it will help you convert potential clients into paying clients, if you charge £34 an hour, that's a £4 return on investment already, because there's no postage, because it just goes straight to your inbox as soon as you purchase it. So go to catherinegladwyn.co.uk and use the menu and go to inquiry to onboarding. Now, I don't know whether to record any episodes for August, because you lot are all going to be on like Bournemouth Beach, aren't you? Let me know. podcast@catherinegladwyn.co.uk. Au revoir. If you're ready to reclaim your independence, then subscribe to this podcast, because there is so much I'm going to give you. You got to subscribe on your favourite channel, it says. What channel? I ain't going to be on the BBC, am I?